promise I'm gonna speak up when I hop about to cut. I promise I'm gonna speak up when I hop about to cut. I promise I'm gonna speak up when I hop about to cut. I promise I'm gonna make a scene. Got lights, cameras, action, but I promise that I won't be seen.
My name is Theodore.
My name is
and
Markeshia.
I am about 8 years old.
You 8?
And I'm 10.
9 years.
I was diagnosed with anxiety, depression, and PTSD.
Okay, do you recall what happened 6 years ago?
Okay.
Yeah. I got taken away.
I don't really remember.
It felt like I was fighting a losing battle.
I felt sad, mad.
If there was one thing that you could tell a child going through the same
I just
thing,
wanted
okay,
to
what's
tell
the
them.
hardest part about it? Easiest part to deal with?
There was a lot of obstacles, but I overcame them.
Children, just know that it will be alright.
Before I begin telling my story, I must give warning that this story may potentially trigger some people who have similar background stories and current situations. I cried reflecting on the past event. However, if we can find the strength to get through this story, you may find some valuable information throughout my story. If you don't think you can, I understand, and you don't have to endure the agony, guilt, or the emotions. Just remember you're strong and will come out victorious if you never give up. You can still leave questions in the comments, and I will try to help you even if you can't continue. I decided that once the kids were in bed asleep, I would go to work because they slept all night. In the middle of the shift, I was pulled away from my desk by my supervisor and led to the security desk. There waited 2 police officers, and on the phone was the officer in charge. He told me I had 15 minutes to get home or I would never see my babies again. I didn't have a car, so I asked the officers if they would take me, and they both declined and said they would have someone else come and get me and take me. Then they left. And I waited for the next patroller to come and get me home. The lights were blazing bright when I arrived. The officer in charge approached me and asked me to call someone to come get my children. I immediately called my granddad because he was most reliable, so my granddad came and got them. The officer's tone was different from on the phone because he found out where I was coming from, and his heart softened and he tried to hide that his heart was conflicted. He asked his questions, which I answered honestly, and he apologized about his tone over the phone because he didn't realize I was at work. He thought I was out partying and being irresponsible. He admitted to not really wanting to arrest me because I reminded him of his mother just trying to provide for her children. But I assured him I was not upset with him and he has to do his job, so we went downtown. When we arrived downtown, the procedure continued. I was given a jumpsuit to change into, shoes to replace my personal shoes. Initially, no one cared the background details of the story, so they talked to me and treated me like I was the scum of scum until they found out the backstory. The lady at the desk even exposed who made the call and told me he also tried to assume guardianship of my children and got rejected. Then I had to wait for the CPS worker to arrive for more information, who in my family would be willing to get them. Her tone pretty harsh and demanding when I answered Granddaddy. She said, "No, 70 and up cannot assume guardianship. That's too old." Then I responded, "I don't know." She started naming family members, and I answered, "I didn't know." She was growing impatient, but based on what happened as I was trying to find babysitters to watch them the hours that I worked, I couldn't answer because if they wouldn't watch them for that time, how was I to know if they would agree to assume guardianship? So she asked about my sister, and I said, "I don't know. You would have to ask them if they would, because I can't tell you if they will or not." Then she says, "Okay, well, if the dad comes and get them, they will be separated and there's nothing you can do, but we'll try to keep them together." And with that, I was taken back to the holding cell. After a little while, I was transferred into the general population. My mind was still processing what was happening. I had no appetite. I just stood by the cell they assigned me. The ladies in there saw me standing there and offered me a seat. We sat together and swapped stories of how we ended up in there. Some of the women were pregnant and worried who would get their babies until they were released. They felt for my situation and hoped I would be released soon. Some hours later, my name was called for release. The other inmates cheered as they would when others got released. I was maybe in there for only 5 hours, and I knew I never wanted to return.
shine so bright, you might go blind.